Welcome to the WTR Small Cap Spotlight podcast. I'm your host, Tim Gerdeman, Vice Chair and Co-founder and Chief Marketing Officer of Water Tower Research. In today's podcast episode, I'm being joined by Steve Fife, President and CEO, and Julie Boyster, CMO, both of LifeVantage, NASDAQ ticker symbol LFVN. LifeVantage, also known as the Activation Company, is a pioneer in nutrigenomics with science-backed products that use unique combinations of naturally derived ingredients to activate optimal health processes at the cellular level. Also joining us today is my colleague, Doug Lane, Head of Consumer Products Equity Research at Water Tower Research. Good morning, folks, and thanks for joining today's podcast.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
Be here.
To kick things off, LifeVantage sells nutritional supplements that are focused on nutrigenomics. As a lifelong fitness and supplement junkie myself, I know that when the typical consumer goes to the store to buy, say, vitamin B12 or D3, they normally get these vitamins in tablet or capsule form. When one takes LifeVantage's liquid collagen, it is going beyond supplementation and activating the body's own production of collagen. Can you please explain to the audience how supplements that are developed utilizing nutrigenomics work differently than traditional nutritional supplements, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question, Tim. So nutrigenomics is the study of how nutrients impact our genes, our genetic expressions, our genetic makeup. And so that's when we say nutrigenomics, that's what we're studying at the end of the day, the science of what influences genes, what do genes need to thrive and work optimally. So that's what LifeVantage does. We are the activation company, as you said, and we use the science of nutrigenomics to find what influences the genes. What can we activate? What has been slowed down, turned off, maybe impaired due to aging or other impacts, that we can use the science of nutrigenomics to turn it back on, to activate your body's own production of the things it needs for health, the proteins, the peptides, the antioxidants. And we're really proud of our process. We call it the 6 A's of activation, and we make sure we're assessing trends. That's our first A. We make sure we are not only just studying nutrigenomics, right, but what are the things that people are experiencing? What are the things they're talking about? When you think of aging, what is impacting you? And we spend a lot of time as part of our process and our product development process, really understanding, again, not just, it's kind of where the science meets humans and human nature and human conversation that's happening. So really assessing those trends is an important part of that conversation. Then we're going to actually build the formula, and we're going to have a specific target in mind. You mentioned liquid collagen. With that product, we are trying to activate the body's own production of collagen. It was something a lot of people, and still today, a lot of people talk about the importance of collagen and what it's doing for your overall health, all the areas that your body's using it. So then finding that blend, those nutrients that activate that genetic expression so your body's able to produce this protein. The other thing I love about our product development process is always affirming efficacy. We're going to first prove it works with in vitro studies. Those are studies of cells, and make sure that that formula that we assembled is actually targeting very early on in our product development process, understanding how much it is targeting, how much we're influencing that genetic expression with a particular blend, so that we can really narrow in on the right ingredients in the right amounts that do that activation. We're not just throwing kind of random ingredients at it at a certain level and kind of fingers crossed. We're going to make sure and go the step above and beyond to make sure we're activating it appropriately as a blend. We're going to assure quality. So that is, we're always going to make sure that the quality, the ingredients that we are choosing are tested, verified multiple times, multiple quality checkpoints, running tests for metals, micros, potency, stability tests. And then what's fun about nutrigenomics and nutrigenomic science is we're always going to study and advance the science by looking at how activating one part of the body is influencing the health of other products that we have. We call it activation synergies. So 1 + 1 is way more than 2. What else are we activating because we're making better these processes in your body? So I love that our process is always going to expand the science and advance the science. And the study of nutrigenomics goes beyond just individual formulas. It's going to be looking at kind of that whole body approach.
Julie,
We activate you.
Julie, how do you find the ingredients? I mean, these ingredients are not patented. They're not rare earth minerals. I mean, these are common everyday ingredients, right? How do you find the right ingredients for this?
We cast a really wide net. That net is kind of narrowed down by looking at individual ingredient studies, first and foremost, of what has been studied about this ingredient. Do we know that it influences or targets this certain area? And then, like I said, with that in vitro testing, that's really where we can then say we want this amount because of the research and the paper that is giving us kind of an indicator that this might be something that's expressing, but we rely heavily on in vitro testing to narrow the percentages that make up that formula and really start to understand how one ingredient works with another. Again, wide net, a lot of different types of blends and formulas tested in that in vitro process, where we can kind of compare directly apples to apples and find the right blend that is doing the most activation and most specific to the target that we're trying to influence. So really rely both on paper and in that cellular research to really fine tune the target.
So that's what's proprietary here. It's the blend. It's finding that right blend to get the reaction from the body that you're looking for.
Absolutely. And that's that whole process that I kind of just went at the end of the day, that is the magic. That is the nutrigenomics piece of this, is what is that blend that brings that genetic expression, that cellular health to life, so your body's able to produce. It's fully capable of making these things. In fact, that's a hashtag and something we use to talk about what our products do, is take it to make it.
Right.
We're helping your body when you take our products, because of the nutrigenomic science behind it, your body's able to make the things it needs for health. It's not just supplementing. We're not just bridging a gap. We're not just putting a Band-Aid over something your diet or your lifestyle is not giving you. We're empowering your body by finding that right blend and assembling that formula the right way, affirming the efficacy, understanding how then products work together and advancing that science. It's really fun. It's the best part of what I do on a day in and day out basis.
I love that differentiation and value add compared to off the shelf supplementation to go on record. So I'm going to turn it over to Doug to ask a few questions.
No, thanks, Tim. Yeah, sorry I jumped in there, but I'm really interested in nutrigenomics because I think people don't fully understand exactly what Tim said, that this is not just buying B12 or buying D3. You know, you've got proprietary blends for each individual product, but then you've got each individual products blending and creating unique synergies. So maybe talk about, what do you have going on as far as patents and marketing of these proprietary product synergies that you guys have developed?
So much is in the pipeline and so much is in the works. As far as our most recent one, we have a patent pending on our MindBody GLP-1 system, which, again, your body, GLP-1, it's a hormone. Your body's capable of making its own. And we are activating that production and help empowering your body, giving it what it needs so it can do that activation at those optimal levels. And then looking at our Protandem Nrf2 Synergizer, which is helping your body make its own antioxidants. It's really the core foundation of combating oxidative stress and cellular oxidation, and really empowering your cell to stay balanced and perform its function, whatever that is, at optimal levels. So we studied those two together because, wow, GLP-1, we're learning more and more about this hormone, how it impacts neuroprotection and has cardioprotection qualities. What does it look like when you're activating that antioxidant protection and activating GLP-1? We found that there were 22 new genes that were stimulated and influenced by only that direct combination, including 9 pathways of helping your body be more efficient with its fat and fatty acid pathways. So we're kind of enhancing what GLP-1 brings to the table. When you've got that antioxidant support, we're helping it be more efficient. And then kind of a cool thing that neither one of those products bring to the table is we call it like the renovation crew. Like, so if you have imagine that you've got a full-time construction crew at your home, just keeping it up to date, keeping the structural quality, keeping the paint nice and fresh. That's what is happening when you combine these two products, is you've got kind of a full-time organ health approach. This becomes a renovation crew working overtime to help your body keep its organ, kind of that structural integrity. If you think of your skin, Doug, is like, I'm worried about my skin aging. I can see it every day. Have you ever stopped though to think about what's happening on the inside? Because your skin's your largest organ, but what's happening if it's aging? It just makes sense that these other organs inside your body are aging as well. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff that's the fun, that's the science, that's the things that we can be demonstrable, and we can appeal to really, broad markets with just our individual products. But when you really dig deep of, wow, I'm activating this and I'm activating this, what other benefits am I getting that I didn't even know, or maybe didn't even know I needed?
This is fascinating. It's so unique. But you mentioned GLP-1. Last week, you issued a press release with a second clinical trial here in the U.S. You did one at launch back in the fall, which was pretty compelling. But now the second one last week mentioned some more compelling evidence of the efficacy of MindBody. Can you talk a little bit about that for us?
Yeah, I'll just jump in here before Julie answers. But I think that's part of what Julie just talked about with our 6 A's, right? Is that I think everyone should know how much we focus on the science behind our products, and really not just those individual ingredients, but when we combine them all together. And then we are very careful about products that we launch, but we do clinical studies on the final product, not just individual ingredients. And I think that's really a key differentiator for us in this space. And you mentioned, we launched GLP-1 or MindBody back in October. Julie just mentioned, we are patent pending based on the studies that we did then. But that formula, and when we launched, it was the US only. And so in subsequent months, we've finished our development of a similar product that is available now in all of our international countries. So when we launched that international formula, we also wanted to do an independent party study of our international formula. And when we did that, we also kind of included our US formula in that, so that we could see any comparison or differences between the two formulas. So it was the driver maybe for this second study that we did, but the results, were equally, in fact, more impressive than the original study that we did back in the fall. So, Julie, do you want to go through some of those numbers?
Yeah, you left the fun part to me, because like you said, they were even more enticing than I think we could have hoped for. But so when researchers combined the data from that most recent clinical that was completed in April 25 with the findings from our initial MindBody, which concluded fall 2024, kind of right before that launch, as Steve mentioned. The average increase of GLP-1 production improved to over 200%. So that's a pretty big jump from that that previously reported 140 was the percentage number we had from that first clinical. But averaging those two, adding more kind of people and more, blood work, that average increased to over 200%, both for our US formula and our international formula as well, because that hadn't launched back in October, recently launched, in April kind of time frame, depending on our international markets. So really proud that both formulas, and I think that's a call out too, regulatory kind of restrictions or limitations or guardrails sometimes prevent formulas market to market to being exactly the same. But just the investment and understanding of our international formulas, what they're doing, arming our consultants internationally with the data for their formula is important to us too. So the other fun thing we looked at with this most recent study is just people's reported relationship with food, because at the end of the day, that's what GLP-1 is helping, right? Is that mind-gut connection, helping that be strong, helping that relationship with food. So 95% reported decreased sugar cravings, 89% reported decrease of fast food cravings. Can you imagine no longer driving by a fast food and feeling immediately hungry? Like that is life-changing for a lot of people. 86% no longer decreasing their cravings for salt and soda. So like those things that we just kind of are addicted to as consumers, and or have our taste buds have kind of changed. 85% now eating for health instead of emotions. 89% eating less at meals. 86% just overall I'm less hungry. Like big numbers for this population that we tested. Just describing just my relationship with food in general is shifting and changing, and we're making a difference to people's life and the way they view, control and using food as fuel, and using that to garnish a really healthy, vibrant lifestyle. So our, the weight loss results speak for themselves as well. Up to 9% decrease in total body fat percentage, 24% decrease in visceral fat, which is that really harmful fat that surrounds your organs, 9% decrease in subcutaneous fat, 6% increase in the good skeletal muscle that keep us strong and lean. So like, again, just it's fun to see that reported, the relationship with food and what they're experiencing there really pay off to just healthy, sustained changes that you're able to see as well.
Yeah, and of course, this is all naturally produced, so you don't have those nasty side effects that you have with the pharmaceutical solutions. So it's fascinating, and the science just keeps coming, doesn't it? There's been some other current events lately outside of the science here at LifeVantage. Last week, you announced you're entering Iceland, which is expected to happen in September. And Iceland, is a small country. It's smaller than Wyoming, which is the smallest state in the Union. So what about Iceland are you particularly excited about?
Yeah, I think Iceland, we're excited because of the partnership that we have with our sales consultants team. Those of you who are familiar have been listening to LifeVantage, learning about LifeVantage over the last couple of years. We've been on a journey for about 3 years now. We refer to it as LV360, where we really looked at all of the elements of our business, and the product strategy that you've heard a lot about today was a critical element of LV360. A second critical element was reimagining our compensation plan, how we pay our consultants, our independent sales force. And maybe that's a discussion or a topic for another podcast, but it's amazing the impact that compensation plan is having with our consultants and our ability to grow our business. And I'd say the third pillar around Evolve or LV360 was our focus on our community. And that community really focuses on the relationship between, LifeVantage, the corporate team, and the 50,000 independent consultants that we have throughout the world. You know, they are our face to the customers. They are our sales force. And Iceland, you know, candidly was not on our geographic roadmap, but you know, a leader in Europe joined us, and was finding tremendous success. She had a relationship with a group of people in Iceland, and you know, we went through our diligence process, and because of Iceland and existing countries that we're already in, and the regulatory environments and fulfillment and the supply chain, it really was a relatively easy lift for us, you know, on the corporate side to get into the market and solidify that relationship with a consultant leader. And you know, I think that that's where success comes in this industry, is when that partnership between the corporate team and the consultants are really tied together, is where the magic can happen. So we're full speed ahead. In fact, I just got off a kickoff call with some of the team members in Iceland, and their excitement is amazing. We'll be launching in September with our 3 hero products: Protandim Nrf2, collagen, and MindBody, along with a ProBio product, and then we'll launch other products as registration is available. But we're excited about it, and you know, I think it's also a sign of things to come now with LifeVantage, that we'll be looking at other international expansions as we look to take our message to other people throughout the world.
Well, I mean, if I remember right, Europe as a region is not very big for LifeVantage. I don't even
That's
believe
right.
we get out separately. So maybe Iceland can be the kickstart you need to get that market, which is a large direct selling market, become more of the conversation going forward.
That's exactly right.
Also, earlier in July, LifeVantage held its Global Activate 2025 virtual event, and there you introduced the Summer in the Fast Lane campaign for your consultants. How do you expect the Summer in the Fast Lane campaign to drive business growth going forward?
Yeah, like you said, Activate 2025, it's one of my favorite events because it's kind of that mid-year checkpoint of where you are with goals, how are you doing, kind of a reset from that New Year's timeframe when everybody's kind of getting gung-ho. So for us, it was the perfect time to introduce Summer in the Fast Lane, which is part of a new quarterly cadence, where it's really the strategy here. Just think of when you've started a job before, right? You've got your 30, 60, 90-day plan to really get going and really dive in and really see some wins and some success. It's no different for our consultants. We want them to see success. We want them to have easily obtainable goals. We want to give them a focus and something to talk about. So really, to answer your question, these shorter sales sprints designed around each quarter, different than maybe our traditional longer sales incentives that run for 9 months or a year, really focused on those new consultants, along with our existing too, but giving them kind of just, I can do that for 3 months. I can run for 3 months. I can tell that product story kind of over and just getting a really comfortable, really confident with my approach and with how I show up as a LifeVantage consultant. So the quarterly sprints, again, refreshed kind of every quarter. Summer in the Fast Lane's our first one. They include a new product stack. So we have our high-speed health stack for Summer in the Fast Lane, which is, of course, Nrf2, MindBody. We included fat burn with that. And when you buy that stack, you're actually getting NAD for free, because NAD, all trending. We've had that. We've been activating that for a few years now. Want people to know that part of our product line exists. So new consultants can learn this stack and the story around what it's doing to change body composition. and lead with it as they're building that confidence. The other component of our Summer in the Fast Lane is a sales incentive. Our US consultants are working towards a weekend trip to Dreams Bahia Mita in Mexico. So just again, a fun, like short term, like I can do this, I can see success here. And then those trips, oh, they become like such an incredible place to build community and meet other consultants and rub shoulders with people that are winning and people driven by personal development and success. So we want people on those trips. They become such a key piece of our community and that consultant kind of vibrancy that I think really sets direct sales apart. No other company can kind of replicate what we have built or we have built into just the foundation of us as a company. So we want to get people on that trip, excited about that. They can see themselves there. That short sprint seems very doable. And then social challenges, making sure we are continuously engaging consultants and their customers, teaching them about the product through challenges and how we're talking about it on social. So that they can be educating on our differentiation, understanding it, and using those throughout the 3 months to really promote that high-speed health stack in this quarter's case. But again, just bringing those 3 elements, the product, the business, and our community together, and just rinse and repeating that quarterly cadence and that cycle so that new people have something to reach for, something to understand, something that's very clear and concise, to ultimately, as your question was, drive business growth and LifeVantage as a company, when our consultants are active and sharing and positive and vibrant, that's ultimately what leads to that. So very excited about that and continuing that for the next quarters to come.
No, that's important in direct selling, that motivation, education, recognition, all that kind of stuff. So I can see that makes a lot of sense. All right, I see we're coming up on time, so let me throw it back to Tim here to take it from here.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you for joining us today, CEO Steve Fife and CMO Julie Boyster, both from LifeVantage, NASDAQ ticker symbol LFVN. And thanks to my equity research colleague, Doug Lane, for also joining us. Finally, a special thanks to the WTR producer and editor of the podcast, Joe Brunetto. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, as well as visiting www.watertowerresearch.com to stay up to speed on the company's small cap written research reports, podcasts, fireside chats, and conference schedules. We will see you next time for another edition of the WTR Small Cap Spotlight podcast.